Good afternoon. The time is 4:01 p.m. on Monday, July 18th, 2022. I will call to order the July meeting of the Norwalk Traffic Authority. We have a quorum. First item on the agenda is public comment. Do we have anybody wishing to address the Traffic Authority?
At the moment, we do not have any attendees.
Okay. The next item on the agenda will be the approval of minutes of the special meeting of June 27th, 2022. Do I have a motion? Moved by Commissioner Lopez. Are there any corrections, deletions, omissions?
I see none, Mayor.
Commissioner Collier Clemens. Oh. You're on mute right now, so I don't know if you have any corrections.
No correction. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Been to the little red line.
All in favor of the minutes as submitted? Aye.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Commissioner?
I abstain.
Okay. Minutes have been approved. Next item on the agenda. I need a motion to move forward for the 5K 2.5 mile William Ravis walk and ride to be held on September 18th.
I so move.
Commissioner Collier Clemens moves. Any discussion? Mr. Who's going to handle this?
So Mike informed me that Andrew Rosati was supposed to be here to talk about
Yes.
this.
Hello, I'm here.
Hi, Andrew. You want to take this item?
Sure. Yeah, I can explain. This has been an ongoing event that William Ravis has hosted. I believe it's either the 8th or 7th year now. The routes have stayed the same. We'll be doing a 5K, a 12 mile, and a 25 mile bike ride that all starts at Calf Pasture Beach. And then, when the riders come back, we kind of have a festival there on the lawn.
Okay. Any questions from the commissioners?
I have no questions.
I also don't have any questions.
Any concerns from the police department or traffic authority or traffic TMP?
How many riders are you anticipating, Andrew?
I would probably say between the majority of ours are the other walkers, but I would say riders, anywhere from 100 to 200. The thing to note is that there's no race element to this. So they're all going to be going at their own pace and riding to enjoy the ride and raise money.
Okay. The race issue was going to be my next question. So assuming there's a race, traffic has no concerns, Mayor.
Correct. Yes.
Okay, so seeing no concerns or other questions, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item is the approve the road closure for the Norwalk Night Out. Do I have a motion?
I so move.
Okay, Chief, I believe you will handle this, or?
Yeah, this is the repeat event that we've had the last several, except for the one COVID year. We've had it the last number of years. And the road closure plan is the same right around the police department. The only difference this year is that we moved it from the traditional August 2nd date to September, only because of resources and staffing in August. We were concerned about having officers available and also to staff the various demonstrations and things. So we pushed it back a little bit so that we should have better resources available.
Yeah, this is something I've attended mostly, pretty much every year. And it's attended by a lot of people. It's a good community event, and I've not seen any traffic issues as a result of that. So
No, it's gone smooth.
I don't know if the commissioners have any comments or questions.
I don't, Mayor.
No, I don't have any questions. The only comment I have is that I think it's a good idea to move it to September. It won't be as hot. And, and a lot of people will not be on vacation, so more people can come.
Anything from TMP?
No, and very much in support of it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next is the approve the proposed long-term lane closure for East Avenue, Gregory Boulevard for a 6-month period from April 2023 through October 2023. Do I have a motion?
I so move.
Okay, Commissioner Collier Clemens moves. I believe Vanessa Valadares is here to discuss that, and or Mr. Travers and anybody else from the requesting agency.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Commissioners. So as you're aware, we have the East Avenue roadway project and underground utilities on the books for a few years now. So DOT and WSP, that is the project manager for DOT, is coming in front of you for a request to close one of the lanes for this project to be able to finalize in a safe way the project in that area. So I have here with me Rich Bertolli and Kevin Washburn. They will be able to explain with details on what will be the closure. And the reason that we are presenting this in front of the traffic authority is for the same reason that we did about over a year ago when we did the advanced utilities, that there were some night closures that you guys allow on East Avenue under the bridge. So this is kind of very similar. So it's still part of the same umbrella of the project. It's just now it's a different portion of the project that is still going to be priced. It's not going to happen by now. What you have in front of you is that we're going to propose one lane closure. So it will be closed for a certain period of time and would start only next year. So that's why we want to bring this in advance, so you guys can share your concern with DOT and see if there is anything that needs to be adjusted so we can move forward and really minimize the impact of the construction on the East Avenue neighborhood. So I don't know if Rich or Kevin would like to explain and go through what you guys have.
Thank you, Vanessa. Can I share my screen? Yes, okay. Can everyone see my screen?
Not yet,
No.
Rich, no.
No.
Let me try this.
Now we can.
You're starting, there you go.
The wrong one, sorry. Let me try one more time, sorry. All right, well, it's not liking that, so let me move what I want to show you to the screen. So thank you, Vanessa. And Vanessa did a great job. Introduction, this project's been on the books for a while.
It's just one section. We're only seeing your desktop screen. We did see the map shortly, but it's switched off to your desktop screen now. There you go. You got the map up.
Okay, it's showing me on a different screen. Thank you, Jim.
Okay.
Sorry, Zoom technical problems.
No problem. Just want to make sure we'll all be able to see. Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
Then we can see it now. We can see your cursor moving around. You're good to go.
Right. So this is Gregory Boulevard. East Avenue's on the other side of the cemetery. You have Cemetery Street to the left here. This is the south. This is north. Like Vanessa said, this project's been on the books for a while. The department, as part of the program, has decided to advance this work and has started contracting with the contractor to do this work. And as we're trying to finalize that contract, the contractor proposed this method to try to, improve how quickly they can get this work done. So prior to this work would have been done the same way. The work is being done out there now. So any work that is north of 4 Point Street out there, they're closing down lanes. They're in the middle of the day or at night to do the work. This work is a little bit different. The drainage pipe is very deep. So by taking a lane on Gregory Boulevard, that would allow us to leave the road open and be able to facilitate doing that work much quicker. As you move to the north, this little snippet here, the drainage shifts over to the right turn lane, and we would close that right turn lane. I also have the contractor who's on, if you have any questions related to schedule or that type of work, but this is the proposal that we would like the city to consider.
So when you, I know that Jim mentioned something to me earlier about the right-hand turn lane onto Winfield Street. How are we going to accommodate those cars so that we don't end up with a backup there?
You would end up with a backup for the duration. So the only way to do that is to do break that down every day with drums and plate that work.
So what's shown on the screen too is also 2 stages. The main plan view on the bottom with the left lane of Gregory Boulevard closed would occur. And then there's a little bit of a gap. You can see, I can't see my cursor, Rich, but that manhole to the other manhole would never be enclosed in a work zone. As we got to that north end of the work zone, we would take this closure out, have that area paved, reactivate the left lane, and then go into the closure on the top of the page and have that right turn lane closed. At that point, only the single lane up to Winfield would be open. That would be a through lane as well as the right turn lane. So
yeah, but you would expect, yeah, so that's it. This is not to be set up at the same time. Thank you for the clarification, Taylor, but you would still see without the right turn lane, you would see some queuing back into these double turn lanes here during that period.
that's right. This is a good closure for us in terms of getting out there and doing the work a lot safer. As Rich said, this is different and unique work to the area. It's about 18 to 20 foot drainage. So if we didn't have the barrier out there, we'd be putting lane closures out for the regular traffic hours, 9 to 2:30, 3 o'clock. And we'd be working adjacent to the roadway at a significant cut with shoring and trench boxes. So we feel it's a lot safer for our own employees as well as the traveling public if we're able to put barrier out there. And putting the barrier in place and getting the work zone established, it does allow us to speed the work up from potentially a 6-month to a somewhat shorter duration. So
What time, I'm sorry, what time is being proposed? I mean, I heard a time there. And is there a different time that's being, I'm trying to understand the time.
Tentatively, we are slated to get out there in April of 2023, and we would be working on it all next year until the end of the roadway lane closure season.
Right, so there's no specified time of the day is what I'm referring to, correct?
Well, usually we do not allow, and that's where they're in front of a commissioner, because we can establish a certain time. Usually through the encroachment permit, we limit off the hours. But on this case, because they're gonna set up the barriers will be there throughout the day. So as soon as they started, they're gonna have the concrete barriers, and then they're only gonna be removed after the work is completed. So it's not that they're gonna set up the barriers on a daily basis. For that, they would be using cones. So we would allow them to do the work starting in April until probably the end of the construction season.
So what effect on the traffic? I mean, I'm not privy to, the traffic study that's been done and what's being done to mitigate that. Can you help me just understand some of that?
If you're asking about traffic volumes,
Yeah.
Rich, do you have any volume data?
We do not.
Right. What study has been done? What's in place to mitigate the traffic? I'm trying to understand the effects of this project.
So we did not run an analysis on it because we're talking about a 6-month duration here. So we're not talking about years and years of impact. So for the 6-month duration, you would see, you'd see additional queuing on Gregory Boulevard, depending on the peak hour and depending on the volumes at those times. I don't know, Jim, if you have a feeling from your expert.
Rich, let me ask you a couple of questions if I can, right?
Mhm.
So let me just start on Cemetery Street. It looks like I see some dots there. Do they represent the slip lane closing?
Oh, that's not that's an error. That's not supposed to be there. The slip lane would still be maintained.
All right, okay, so that was my first, because then I think we'd have other traffic problems, right? When the lane is taken, right? Are you proposing that this is taken in its entirety for the entire project, or is it going to be rolling, right? So for example, near the north portion up there, is there a time that you're not working up there, that the barriers will not be in place, that longer queue lines are possible, the double queue lines are possible?
So Taylor, could this be done in halves? We already planned, like Taylor explained, to do the northern part and
Yeah,
the southern.
so
Could
I
we
can-
split?
Yeah, I think I have another question when it comes to the right-hand slip lane, but for this section of the larger portion for Gregory Boulevard, is there a way to partition this so that like we can leave open for the longest period of time any queuing abilities? Because I'm not really that concerned with the traffic in general for the majority of the time frame for the Gregory Boulevard. What does get me some concerns is what we would typically see for queues at that intersection. And I think we can mitigate that if you're not going to be working in the northerly quadrant rather, that is open for queue capacity. Is that a possibility?
So the way I'm understanding that is you're saying on the lower graphic with the majority of Gregory Boulevard, shorten up that closure wall. Yeah, I don't know. I think we would probably need enough room to install the drainage we're trying to do, as well as store materials plus have equipment. So we could definitely probably shorten that up a little bit. And then as we work our way north, because we're going to work south to north because it's deeper and there's a tie-in. So that island, yep, right where his cursor is, we tie into an existing box culvert in there, and that's the deepest portion. But then we would work our way north, which is upstream. Yeah, we could shorten that barrier zone up a little bit, and then as we get further to the north, pave and open. But as you work in a section, Rich, maybe if you hover from Rogers Square and around that island, I mean, as we're in that area, it's going to be neck down to one lane as it goes into the 2 lanes anyway. So there's a short period of time, but we could shorten up the impact.
So that was, I'm sorry, that was going to be one of my questions, the use of that Rogers Square. And the thought behind the use of it, at least to mitigate some of that. I don't know how much.
Well, that's a good idea too. Yeah.
I have a question also. That's not going to interfere with people making the right-hand turn onto Emerson Street and going down into Rogers Square. I know that those stores are really not open, but there is a big laundromat there that uses the back parking. So I don't know if that's going to interfere with any of their business.
No,
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say these are all right turn movements, and the work zone is over here on the left side, so they have access to both Rogers Square. Is Rogers Square 2-way, or is it northbound?
That's all one way.
I believe it's northbound only.
It's
It's
all one way.
northbound. It's one way northbound. So this could alleviate some of the queuing. Jim, if we just, I don't know how you would note that, or the cars would just naturally go that way.
Well,
I mean,
there's
it's
an
storage
assisted
capacity.
living place right over here too. So I'm not so sure. And it's very narrow, that Rogers Square area. That when you first go into Rogers Square. So I'm not so sure that's advisable. I mean, people might do it on their own, but I wouldn't send them that way.
I was just gonna supplement that with it's more of a storage capacity than it's not gonna relieve any of the queuing, because then they're just gonna try to get out of Rogers Square back onto Gregory on the northern end. there.
Right. They still come around. Yes. It would just be a queuing.
I guess further to what I was initially saying though, the little closure that's shown on the upper section of the screen, the right-hand closure onto Winfield, that section of the entire duration, that's only a little over a month right there. That is some of the deepest area that we have to tie into everything on both sides of those existing manholes. So that portion where it cuts down to 2 lanes at the intersection is only a very short term in perspective to the whole closure that we are requesting. Just throwing that out there as well.
So
Taylor,
now the section, excuse me, the section that you just mentioned that's going to be about a month long in work, is that going to begin also in April, approximately 2023?
Nope, we would start the work on the southern end and then work our way north, and then we would remove the left lane closure and implement that right lane closure toward the end of the season. Let's say roughly September.
That's September 2023?
Yes,
Okay.
and maybe a little bit sooner than that, but looking at the end of the 6 months period.
So the initial barriers will be placed for the 6 months work that's going to be required for Gregory Boulevard. During that time, near the end of the project, the short term on that Roger Winfield Road, that will be done. Is that correct?
Yeah, let's say for conversation's sake that the left-hand closure is about 5 months and then the right-hand closure is about a month.
Taylor, for the 1 month, the right-hand lane closure and Rich, question, does that assume just normal daytime work hours? And is there any way to expedite that component so we can accommodate the queues? And just the second part, have you looked at any temporary traffic control timings for that portion of the project, since there'll be a barrier put up and to facilitate traffic during all the different peak periods of the day, given that one lane will be out?
Yeah, we would have to look to see, I gotta look and see in the sequence whether we have the new traffic signal up with the synchro green and whether it's gonna automatically adjust based on the demand. Because we're replacing, as part of this project, we are also replacing the traffic signal in here. So I'm not sure where we are in the schedule with the traffic signal. If the synchro green is not, that is an option to do an analysis and adjust the timings for the loss of the right turn lane.
But even if synchro green is in place, it's not gonna account for the fact that a lane is knocked out of commission, right? So we need to do some type of programming on it anyway to recognize
Correct.
that you no longer have a right turn lane.
Correct.
All right, I think, and then to Garrett's point earlier is, is that 1 month period anticipated to be normal work schedule, or can we approve you to have an extended work period so that we can shorten the duration? I recognize it's only a month, but it is a month at September when school is starting, when we have school buses, when we have more traffic starting to resume on the road. And there is a considerable amount of right-hand turn lane, right turns that happen there. And there's also left-hand turns into the train station, which then get impacted because there's no way to bypass them. So we're just wondering, how can we be creative to reduce? We understand that you need to be there and it's deep, but how are there mechanisms in which we can reduce the amount of time that you have to be in the road there?
Sure. So the 1 month is a accelerated duration. It's we had 36 shifts roughly of 5 shifts a week going previously. So we had 7 weeks. I'm saying it's about 4 weeks in there with a behind barrier. We can work more than the 9 to 3. We can pretty much work extended hours and longer shifts without having to put out cones and road plates every day. So the 1 month is accounting for that acceleration. In regards to, well, I guess that was your question.
I just have one comment. It's back to Gregory Boulevard. I'm not sure if I think that it's necessary that we have the whole length of the work to be closed for all that period of time. I think that we should be able to do in sessions. I think that will alleviate the traffic. We're going to be able to establish a second lane that will help the queue. And plus, I don't think we should store material on the roadway. I think that if you guys have all that room, yes, you're going to keep material there, but there's no need for that because you guys have staging areas throughout the city that we previously agree on. You'll be able to bring material that you need for a couple of days of work. We've been working like that for the past 2 weeks, a month actually. So I think that we have if possible, I would like to propose that we shorten and maybe make the Gregory Boulevard in 2 phases, where you can kind of start in one area, get up to the manhole, and then kind of probably a little bit after the manhole, and then propose a second one where you go a little bit south of that manhole and then go all the way up.
I would agree with that. We could split it in stages to accommodate the queue for sure. And when I referenced materials, I mainly meant materials to be installed that day, not long-term storage. So that's fine. Rich, only thing I would do personally, I mean, I would request, just because we're starting that run where it is, if we could shift that north about, there's that other hard line on the plan, right, the other side of that arrow. I mean, if we could get it up to there, somewhere in there, and then have stage 1 to the left and then stage 2 to the right. If that would be acceptable, that would be very, very beneficial to the project.
Yeah, it looks like, yeah, if we can break it up as much as possible to minimize the impact on the traffic. As Jim Travers mentioned, the right-hand turn on Winfield Street, the left-hand turn into Brim and Crown and the railroad station parking lot. There's a significant amount of traffic that has that need to make those turns. And if they're not able to do that, that's going to cause that backup. So whatever we can do to minimize that. So I think we should approve this, and I'll talk to the commissioners. I get the commissioners' feedback. Give it a tentative approval, subject to working with Vanessa and Jim and Garrett to come up with a plan such as we're discussing.
My other concern that I wanted to express, if they could be addressed, is the, considering you said that you would work extended hours, what effect, if any, presumably there will be, as far as noise for those residents that reside in the proximity?
Under the commissioner, under the encroachment permit, we only limit them to work within our noise ordinance, unless if they come for a special request to work over the night, and if they have to come for a special request for that.
Yeah, and that's
Sometimes we grant it based on when is the weekend and when they can show us that, okay, if we work this like for 2 nights, we'll be able to remove the barrier a week in advance, something like that. We'll consider, and usually we'll work that through the encroachment permit process.
Yeah, right there in Rogers Square, when you first enter Rogers Square on the right-hand side, as I mentioned, there's an assisted living place there, and some of the people that live there, well, obviously many of them are elderly and some are of poor health, and we certainly don't want to disrupt their sleep pattern or don't want to make things uncomfortable for them. So we need to take that into consideration as well.
But as I'm understanding, and just to confirm with the contractor and DOT, what they are requesting is just to set up the barriers that we will see starting April 23 and probably will last for the whole construction season, probably until September 23 on the left side, and then shifting after September for a month to the right side. But the construction will only gonna follow the regular working hour schedule, but the concrete barrier will be placed throughout the year. That's correct, right?
I think, Taylor, the southern or this section here is also more than one shift, correct? Or is it just
So,
more than one?
It would be, we set the barrier as shown up to the blue line, and then we would install that drainage and backfill, then remove that barrier, and then set the barrier from the blue line north to where it's shown, install that drainage, pave it, remove it, and then install the drainage on the top section, taking the right lane.
Right.
And then pave it and remove.
As far as shifts, you have this one multiple shifts, right, to get it done in the 1 month.
Correct.
How many shifts is this? Just daily work, or is it day and night work?
We had planned similar to the advanced utilities day and night.
And
But
your
we would-
night
we would
ends at
follow-
what time, Taylor?
Our night shift is right now it's from 9 to 6 a.m.
So I'm lost. You just said from 9 to 6. Does that accounted for in our, according to what Vanessa said, I'm a little lost.
No,
Yeah,
so then, there was a doubt. So what they're saying now is that I thought that this work was gonna happen during the day. Now they're saying that when they do the right lane, they're planning to do a double shift. So they're gonna work day and night. And that can be also a concern that if you guys don't want to approve that, we can put with a clause that work will be only allowed during the day, or you guys can allow the work to happen at night as well. We do not have any approvals for them to work at night on this section of the road yet. We just have for the ones that they came in front of us last year, that we allow them to work at night.
And with the machinery going, and I'm certain there'll be trucks backing up or so forth with the alert system, that's going to be really disruptive to those residents of that senior assisted housing.
I'm pretty confident, Mayor, you should expect to receive a lot of complaints for this when it comes up. I'm just saying, I'm not being negative.
No, I agree.
So that's understood. And if it was restricted with the criteria that we could take the closure, but it was a daytime only in this area, that is what it is. I mean, it would be our preference to get the closure rather than have a day and night.
So Taylor, what would it be?
It's just
if
gonna
we had a
increase.
7-8
It's going to increase your time, Taylor, though, to get
Right.
it done.
It would reduce it by much more if we were able to do both. Agreed.
Right, so what would it be if you had a 7 a.m. to 9 p.m.? So for the mayor's concern about the overnight and
It could
sleep
be
pattern.
it could be a second shift rather than a night shift.
Yeah,
Yeah, first we could potentially go with a day shift and a second shift if needed. To
And the
supplement,
second
to
shift will
supplement
go
the
until
lack.
what time?
I think we can establish that at 9 or 10, Mayor, whatever you're comfortable with. But I do think that the second shift would be better than the overnight shift for the the noise and the.
Well, I can agree with that. If we can shut things down around 9 o'clock, that'd be great.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes?
Yeah, I just had just one major concern. With a permanent closure, that closure will be in place during the fireworks, during the Oyster Fest, during the boat show, during the heavy beach days, and on the weekends. I just foresee chaos.
I know coming out of the beach on the night of the fireworks, it takes 2 hours anyway. I know that's
And there's nothing, with the barriers there, even though they're not working at that time, well, they might be working at that time, but depending on what day it is, and then on the weekends with the beach traffic as well, and the weekend of the Oyster Fest. There's a lot, as you know, in that area in the summer. But
I think we need to take another look at this. What's your time frame on needing an answer?
We're in order to price this, we are looking next week. Taylor, right? Next week or the week after?
To get it included, it would have to be next week.
Yeah. Otherwise, it will just be midday and nighttime and break it down.
Yeah. So if we didn't do that, then our lane closure hours allowable by the contract would be 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. And then night shift is allowable from 9 to 6. But again, if we're restricted to not working a night in there, then we would only be allowed to have the day shift.
What about, may I suggest one thing? Because I hear what Chief Kowalski was saying, and I agree with him. Would it be possible that we propose the resolution to be that they are allowed to put the barriers, and considering that they're gonna just do in 2 phases, right? And they start in April, there is a big chance that they may be almost finalizing with what we call phase 1 by the July 4th weekend. And what we can ask them is that the barriers has to be removed. They can place somewhere nearby, do a temporary paving and leave for the 4th of July weekend, the road clear, and then they can reestablish right after on that Monday, the barriers that hopefully will then go to phase 2. And then when goes to after the Labor Day weekend, that would be when is the Oyster Festival. They also dismantle one more time the concrete barriers, and then after that they put it back again. So that would be only twice throughout the year that you guys would have to remove the barriers. Would you guys agree with that? And then with that, we give you 2 shifts from like 7 to 9. So continue work from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. With the caveat that there should be no concrete barriers on the road on the weekend of the 4th of July and then the weekend of the Oyster Shell Festival.
I think we could make that work. I would just ask to make that work for having 2 shifts. Could we do 6 a.m. to 9 p.m.? That way we can get 2 full shifts out of it.
The problem is our noise ordinance, Taylor.
Oh, okay.
That's
Okay.
the whole thing. Yeah, otherwise we'll have you're gonna need approval from the health department. We're just trying to.
We
to
don't,
limit it
we,
one step.
but Vanessa, we don't need those though.
Okay.
So,
The sta- the state-
Vanessa, what, 1 second, Rich. Vanessa, what time, what's the noise ordinance go till at night?
Yeah, that's my question. I thought it was 8.
I think it's 9 p.m. We can look and just.
Oh, I thought it was 10.
We do the resolution date that the hours will follow
Okay, all right.
the noise ordinance. What about that?
Yeah,
Or should we do 10? I mean, if it's 7 a.m. to, if you need to do 2 shifts, is there much difference between 9 p.m. to 10 p.m.? Could we do 10? Because most of that last time is your close up. It's not like there's that much construction activity happening.
We just need to follow whatever it is in there. I think that if we put as the noise ordinance, probably can get 2 shifts out of it.
yes. So as a reminder, Vanessa, this project's not following the noise ordinance. So, and we need to just have a ruling based on the traffic authority, not on noise. So this is a state project, so it's not under the noise ordinance. We have our own state statute that we have to follow. But, our goal is to work with the city. So if you can be flexible for an hour on either side, we're more than happy to work within those realms.
That's right.
Understood.
So
So
could we split it and
I'll
say
leave up to the
6:30?
commissioners. I think that because, again, we're just trying to, our other option is if we do not approve the concrete barriers, we're just gonna have, that lane will be still gonna be closed, right? Because we still need to get that drainage in, but it will
Absolutely.
be for a much extended period of time, where we're gonna have them setting up and on every day. So instead of having this for like 6-7 months, we're probably gonna have that for a couple of years. So I just want to show what you have in front of you. So I think that I am comfortable in supporting if we approve the concrete barriers with the caveat that will be in 2 phases, that we allow extended hours so they can fit 2 shifts, but we do not do night work. And also that they will not gonna have the concrete barriers during those 2 major events.
I have the same concerns, and the chief brought up some very good points. We've got the boat show, the Oyster Festival, Memorial Day. We've got the 4th of July fireworks. There's so many things that go on during the summertime that people have to go and, go to and come from the beach area and other places over there in East Norwalk and South Norwalk. And this is going to be extremely, extremely disruptive. When we come out of the beach the night of the fireworks, it takes a minimum of 2 hours to get the traffic all cleared out. This is going to make that probably 3 to 4 hours or more, because 1 lane of traffic, and that it's just not going to be something that's going to be very, very easy to manage and to monitor.
Mayor, I think what Vanessa was talking about earlier is, I think, is a pretty good compromise. It would be for the 2 major events, which would be the 4th of July and Labor Day, that the barriers would be shifted to over and either the temporary patch or plated to open up 2 lanes for those 2 critical weekends. I think that there's going to be other ones that, and other times that'll have, you know, disruption as well, but I think we'd have a much, if, I agree with Vanessa on, you know, if we did it without a closure, that are, you know, this will be a multi-year project, and we'd be dealing with it for, you know, even a harder period of time. But I think opening it up for those 2 holidays or 2 key events might be a good starting point.
Well, one of the recommendations I would make would be that the commission, along with TMP and engineering, give it a tentative approval. Because, you know, until we see it in operation, we really have no idea of the scope and magnitude of the impact it's going to have on that whole area and traffic. For instance, we have the boat show down at the beach where large trailers carrying large boats have to get back to I-95. I mean, this is just, I know they won't, you know, a lot of them go the other way, but still, it's just it has the potential to be a nightmare. Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
So I think it'd be good. I think, you know, we would continue to work throughout the process to be as you know, limit as much of the disruption as we can. You know, I agree with Vanessa. You know, the pipe has to get replaced, and it's in a major road. It's going to be a difficult one to do. You know, I think we'll just have to work together to come up with what the best scenario is. But I do agree that working behind Jersey barriers, I think, is going to be the only way that it gets it, you know, in and out the fastest. And I think the only other thing I would say, Rich, is, you know, can we, when we meet afterwards, can we also talk about what is the timing of the signal replacement there, and if we can take advantage of the newer technology in advance of that closure on the southern southerly portion?
Absolutely. And if it's not ready, Jim, we can also look at the signal timings with an analysis and agree on what's the best approach to manage that signal at that time.
Okay.
Jim, I had just looked at the schedule for that intersection of East Ave and Winfield occurs over the winter of 2023.
All right, so it's happening after this project then?
Yeah, and that's due to what, procurement to get the materials?
No, yeah, I get it. It's
due to controller.
we're seeing the same challenges of goods. So we will need to talk about what we could do to work with the timing or technology. Maybe we could advance, you know, a portion of that. You know, we could talk offline on that.
Yeah, I don't know, Taylor, if we've already put in for the controller for
Right.
East Avenue. We might, at 4 Point, we might be able to swap them temporarily or something and work with Jim on that.
Get at least a portion of like Grid Smart in there or something to help us. Yeah.
Okay.
Any comments from the commissioners?
None of it has been expressed that I think a lot has been, you know, very well expressed about it, and hopefully will be taken into consideration.
I think the concerns have been well expressed, and I do know that I don't know that completely, but I do think that the planners will take that into consideration for our concerns and the city's concerns. And, you know, it is necessary for this pipe to be replaced. So that's, you know, a foregone conclusion, and we just have to work around it the best way we can to make it work for our city and traffic patterns.
I think you have the commitment of Vanessa and I that we will work with CONDOT to come up with a solution that will minimize any disruption. I think we all recognize there will be some, but we will work together to minimize what we can.
Well, I also want to issue kind of a disclaimer or a qualifier. If this proves to be as disruptive as we're anticipating it may be, the commission or the traffic authority certainly could come back and revisit this issue and make other adjustments or terminate the agreement, one or the other. Because I'm just, you know, my main concern is the traffic and the convenience for the motoring public, the pedestrian public. This is, it's extremely, and also, I mean, we knew that this was going to be done. We just didn't know that we didn't have much of advance notice that you were going to come and ask for a 6-month extension or a 6-month closure. This is hitting us kind of sudden like.
Blindsided.
And yeah, and it's, you know, we should have been talking about this quite some time ago.
Just to be fair, Mayor, that we did bring it up a little bit earlier to the city, but it's really that we've gotten into looking at this with the contractor and pricing it, that this alternative, and we had some staff changes and some different ideas that came up, and we just want to make sure that we're vetting all of the ideas and trying to do this, you know, as least impactful as possible to the city, and look at every option.
I get it, and I know that, you know, the history has been one of cooperation. We understand that. But when I say we're kind of getting this last minute, I'm talking about the traffic authority. And we can talk about the other issues after this, but so I guess we're ready for a vote on this. So all in favor?
I have an unreadiness.
Okay.
Are we voting for a temporary approval of the submission?
Yeah,
Is
we
that
can
what
have
the-
that motion.
If that's what you want to amend the motion, certainly.
Is it subject to some of the disclaimers that you indicated, or limitations, or review? I'm just trying to understand what the motion is.
Well, I think the motion could be approvals subject to a temporary approval, I guess, subject to revisiting the issue once the construction is underway. Also to have the barriers removed during those times, such as the boat show, such as the Oyster Festival, and such as the city fireworks.
Okay, now, the proposal came because they wanted a almost around the clock work environment, and have the street closed. We also discussed not having that kind of work schedule and have a kind of flex schedule from 6 a.m. to around 10 p.m. So what are we voting on? Are we voting on what they proposed or what we suggest that they amend?
Well, the other question I have, and you bring up a good point, is if we're cutting down on the work schedule, that probably means that this is going to take longer than 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't have an idea what that time period is either.
No, they agreed that with the 2 shifts, they'll be able to meet the schedule. So may I suggest that we do like the resolution that you guys have a tentative approval of the proposed closure with the proposed work being defining 3 phases. Phase 1, that will be the south portion of the barriers, phase 2 as the north portion of the barriers on Gregory Boulevard, and the phase 3 on the right lane near the island. The work can only be done during what we said,
6 a.m. to 10 p.m.
6 a.m. to 10 p.m. Weekdays, and no concrete barriers will be allowed on the right of way on the 4th of July. You said that the boat show weekend, right, Mayor, and also the Oyster Festival weekend. So it's 3 events, and this and for a period between April 2023 and November 2023. If the extended period is needed, they will have to come in front of you for further approval.
With the caveat, if the TMP or the chief or the police department or the commissioners feel a need to revisit this, we will call a special meeting for the purpose of revisiting this and determining what is the appropriate action from that point on. Does that meet with the commissioner's approval?
Yeah, I can vote on that.
I too.
Ms. Bird, did you get all that, or would you would like to have Vanessa contact you afterwards with the proper language?
Yeah, I could speak offline with Vanessa. Thank you.
Okay. Any further questions or comments?
I have none.
I have none.
I just want to thank the commission for their time.
Thank you.
Thank you,
we-
Rich.
We look forward to having a peaceful and safe area over there.
Now, Mayor,
Yeah,
did we formally vote on this?
no, not yet.
Okay,
Sorry.
just checking.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstentions, there's neither, so, all right, that takes care of that. Next item on the agenda is a Fairfield Light the Night event. I don't know who's going to bring that forward.
I don't have a name. Mike did not give me a name of who's going to be speaking to Fairfield Light the Night event. I would just the fact that it's an informational item, not anticipated to have any impact. So I think this will be coming forth to you in a future meeting. But do we have anybody on to speak to Light the Night?
I don't,
No, so I think you just put it on there as informational. You're gonna get it in a future meeting, but we have an event that's coming that's not anticipated to have any impact.
okay.
All right,
All right, so now we need a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
The commissioners move to adjourn. The next meeting is August 15th at 4 p.m. The time now is 4:53. All in favor of adjournment?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I'm going to be running the police commission meeting. It's the first time that we have to do it ourselves. So if there's a delay trying to get it started, it's just me trying to figure out what buttons to hit. So
Okay.
just bear with me for a minute.
We'll be right in. We have to go to another Zoom.
Right.
bye.